Hey everybody, Texas Trucker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Mopars.com. Sunday night, trying to get some more cleaning up done here in the shop. And quite frankly, I'm ready to get the Carlyle stuff kind of taken care of. So that's probably what we'll focus on. What I want to start with is just right here. We're going to throw it down. And it is a box that you can't really see that great until we do this. So what you're looking at is Carlyle Tools part number 25514. It is a magnetic nut cup. You see me bring these in from Hazette, a couple others. The Hazette ones I can get pretty reasonably. They're quite frequently on sale at KC Tool. So why did I bring this one in? Once again, it was sort of like the end of the year organization sale at Napa, and $16.49 would be the standard price, so we want to stay away from that because you can get Hazette a little cheaper. But they took $7.50 off of this, and it was $8.99. $9 is a pretty solid price for these things. So if we spin it around, you kind of get a feel for what it is. I've demonstrated them many times. This is most likely it's made in Taiwan, so I would venture to guess, based on the construction of it, the design, finger slots, it's going to be the same manufacturer. And if you're thinking like, well, hey, open it up and let's check it out. Well, okay. There you go. I don't know the order videos are going to release in, because this organization stuff is kind of like overlapping with automotive content and repair stuff. I don't really consider it like super cool tool haul, but it's practical, functional stuff. So if you're curious, like, why was this opened up? Why was it being used? Without going into too many spoilers, there may or may not be a new saw that involved cutting through, cutting down some pallets or something along those lines, and these were the nails that I pulled out. So whether you see that video ahead of time or after it, that doesn't really spoil anything, but I do that outside. Obviously there's not a ton of space in the shop to do that, so I'm outside. I did it, of course, around this time in the dark on a cold night, minimal light, and the last thing I want to do is be the reason that I get a nail in my own tire. So as I pulled each nail, I needed somewhere to throw it. What better place than a magnetic cup? And if you're thinking like, well, does it really work? You know, real world application. The answer is yes. What you're hearing, it's really hard to hold with that thumb, but what you're hearing is just the nails kind of slap around against the plastic. None of them came out, and again, every time I would extract one, I would just throw it in the magnetic cup, it would swirl around down, get stuck or stick to another nail, and that's the end of that. So there's sort of like a bonus real-world application for you. Again, those things are pretty useful, and I will leave it at that. There's an item I've debated putting in this and just making it a two-part video. And I kind of think I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to make it standalone. So some of the stuff I bring in I don't usually showcase is like something like this. Again, this order was just devastated. I spent a lot of time knocking dust off of this stuff to make it actually show up a little bit better. This is not me tearing into it. I'm one of those people that cuts things orderly. This was just crushed and collapsed. It's kind of dangerous. It'll cut you. You know, it's nothing major, but it's an annoyance. Just an H13 Extension Harness is all that is. Obviously, there's two of them. If you're curious what that's for, it would be for the Challenger. But, moving on, this is kind of something cool, and it's not quite the size I thought it would be, but I'm really excited about opening it up. For reasons you'll see here shortly. This is from Carlyle Tools. It is part number RGP23. I want to stress, by the way, everything is linked down below. I also use timestamps. I do that for your convenience. I make nothing off of this. That part number, though, is going to be $61.99 worth of tool. That was a $20 sale. And this is what it is. It is a puller, right? Just a 3-jaw puller. The thing is, I have never had one like this. And the pictures are a little deceiving. There's no like scale, you know, there's no hand or anything. I think this is going to work for some pulleys I was thinking it would work for, but for metric people, 50 to 80 millimeters. For old school people like myself, 2 to 3 1/8. Let me check this text real quick. Okay, looks like the Bills and Chiefs are getting close to halftime. I can only sit around and watch games for so long. You know, they kind of burn you out on the wild card weekend. But quick change ratcheting gear puller. It's a safe working load of 2 tons. That's of course 4,000 pounds. They claim that this will easily and quickly convert from 2-jaw to 3-jaw configuration. Easily reversible, they claim, so inside, outside, whatever you need to do. They're chrome moly construction, anti-slip grip on the jaws. Okay, I guess if we, consider little V-notches in them, anti-slip. Ratcheting action holds jaws in position while setting puller. This is kind of what I was excited about. So, as best I know, this is the same setup as like you would have off the Matco truck. It looks identical. I was looking at some stuff at Matco, and I was, thinking, well, I don't know if this is specialized or not. This, I'm sure over time will wear, but if you're anything like me, the pullers that you use, if I had this like this just flops. I mean, everywhere. Typically at work, I use massive, like really, really big pullers, and they're 2-jaw, and they're nothing new. Like they're straight up, 60s, 70s era, probably a little older than that. Most of them are proto if you actually look at them. But, it's a deal where you've got kind of a straight bar, and then you've got 2 other straight bars with a slight hook. I really need to get rid of these batteries. They're either in the frame or rolling into the frame. But quite nice. It works well. Obviously, sometimes you break the part, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it spins off. Sometimes you have to put a clamp over that and hold that while another guy runs the impact. All sorts of crazy stuff. But one of the biggest things, is like if you're solo, if I don't have somebody there to help me, I slide this one over and maybe I like jostle it with my knee so it stays in place. And if I come in with this one, I can't hold it there while I seat everything to make it tight so it stays in place, right? And that's the beauty of this. As I flop this around, these stay right where I ratchet them. Case in point, I'm going to swing this one way out, this one about halfway, and that one just left alone. And as you can see, they're staying where they are. Now, obviously, this is a stupid example, but it showcases what this will do, because let's say that you were pulling a 6309 bearing or something. It's about that size on the OD. You rough it into place, you tap it down, and it just stays there. If you're sitting here and you've got the wrong size of a socket for this, and you're like, man, I thought I had the right one, you got to roll over, you got to grab the socket from the workbench or the box or cart or wherever it's at. And if you miss it again, you got to do that. And every single time I would be abandoning this would flop, right? It would fall. It wouldn't stay in place. Even sometimes when it's in 2-jaw configuration and you put the square clamp around it, the weight will just kind of bring it down. So I've never had one like this. Initial bench impression, I like the indexing of the puller. The biggest question, of course, is simply going to be how well it works. I'm also curious what size this is. They don't specify. You would think that would be kind of important to somebody. Like at work, if this was like, say, a 13 millimeter head on that, we don't do metric. So I need a 1/2 inch, right? So you'd think that would be somewhere on the packaging. I didn't see it anywhere, nor did I see it online. But if this thing is like super, not necessarily oiled, but just like greased, I guess, greasy oil. If you can see down in there, I'm trying to find a spot I can caress this thing just right for you. Do you see where that looks like sort of just a, gear cog on both sides of this? That's what's allowing it to index so well. And if I get my finger out of there, you can see it's like super paused down. I'm going to shut up so you can just listen to this. So pretty, like I said, when you're coming from not having this, that's kind of a big deal there. So in terms of how this quickly changes, I just figured it out by nearly whacking myself. It just detents out of there. So as you can see in this configuration, sort of a Y formation, obviously look at Carlyle being upside down there. This is a puller, this is a puller, and then this is a puller. If you want to go 2-jaw, you can just spin this around, take that one off. And the way that worked is it just kind of threaded in like so. Well, you didn't see that. So right here, I'm just going to come in straight, and you slide her in place. And then as I start to go down, we're indexing. So there we are. That is that. I will try to figure out what size that is. I'm afraid it'll be metric. That still bothers me. But right here, other thing, they said it was anti-slip. It's just like an aggressive plier. That's all it is. Nothing like laser or knurled or anything. So That's it. That's an upgrade, you know, because pullers I have are straight, and that's all there is to them. So I would like to have a shop rag, and boy oh boy, am I ever prepared with a pile of junk back here. So the reason I do that, I don't want to give the bad impression that I'm doing something wrong, or I'm doing something bad, or I'm intentionally making things look poor, right? So what we'll do is just throw these down, okay? And I nearly went a different route here. These are obviously screwdrivers from Carlyle. I've never used them, never handled them. In the past, obviously never with these either. But these things came filthy, not just covered in dust like everything else in the broken box, but I mean like the handles themselves. Like you've heard me complain a few times, like with VIT drivers, you know, they like come in and they look like this, especially like on their older, which you didn't know, they've switched, you know, color schemes, if you will, they're black now. But like their light gray handles, which was sort of unique and different, they always came in, and it's like somebody handled this with like, you know, grease on their hands, you know, can we not like wipe that down or avoid that? Both of these are absolutely filthy. The camera's really not doing them justice, and that's the point I wanted to make. That's why I was intent on wiping my hand off, so you can't be like, oh, you did that, you know, you're trying to make them look bad. No, this is as delivered to me. That's really unfortunate. Purple cable tie, that's interesting, but you know what, we're gonna go ahead and get that out of our lives real quick. And this is what we've got. So I typically, when I do this stuff, going back like to even Mac and stuff, you know, I would come in orange, I would do Phillips, and green, I would do slotted. This time around, I decided to just go with both. These were on sale. I don't know. Actually, they were not. They were $5.99 per driver. What was on sale was a complete set of these. I don't remember if it was 8 pieces or what, but it was like 62 in a tray. I don't know what quality the tray was. Don't remember the set contents. We can probably assume like 2 or 3 Phillips, 2 or 3 slotted, probably 2 stubbies. I think it was like a 8-piece type of a deal, if I'm remembering correctly. Not really a bad deal, you know, for 62 bucks, but my thing is I'd never held one of these until now. I haven't really even messed with them until this point, and I don't like to commit that kind of money. If you're like, man, why don't you have an Icon screwdriver? Well, they don't sell like a 2-piece demo set or just the Phillips alone or any of them alone. It's you have to buy the set, and I don't really want to do that. I would take the number 2 Phillips with a 4-inch shaft and I would be fine. And then if I love them, I would pick up more. But yeah, $5.99 for both of these. True story on this, I didn't know if my nephew would like it, and I sort of just brought it in. But I mean, that's not for me. That's as they were delivered, and that's kind of unacceptable when you're buying something new, in my opinion. If this was in the store and they looked like this, I wouldn't have bought anything. If I did, I would have been like, man, you know, these have been used. What's going on? Did you have a guy in the back come in and do this with dirty hands? You need to take some money off or clean them. And typically people are lazy and they won't clean, so they'll just give you money off. All right? So this is one of those things, like if you're going to send this to me, I don't expect to pay full price. I don't care that it's $6. If I have to sit and waste my time wiping this down and trying to make it look as it should, I don't care that I'm going to get it dirty. What matters is we bought this brand new and it should be delivered in perfect condition, and it certainly was not. So that aside, if we slide these off, that's fairly efficient on the packaging. It's still kind of wasteful in my opinion. It's mainly just done, you know, so you can hang it on a peg. Not super impressive. Again, I'm pretty picky on this stuff by this point in time. It's also not terrible, and it's factored in at $6. It's, you know, about what you would expect. So no, actually we do have size markings there. We've got the SDP24OR. Obviously that's going to be something about Phillips number 2 4-inch in orange, and then we've got the Icon number 2 and 4-inch. We've got a hex bolster, again no clue, that looks like it would be metric, unfortunately. And then down here, kind of nice, we've got the Phillips indicator, the Phillips tip, the length indicator. You've got the part number there, and then you've got Napa here. So maybe you'd like to see this information here and Napa above it. You know, there's pros and cons. What's kind of cool though, they're a tri-lobe, but then when you get it down, it's sort of more akin to like other drivers, right? So it's got decent spin. It's a fairly, I don't want to say it's tacky, like it's not sticking to my hand or anything, but it's not smooth. There's kind of like a friction coefficient that's not allowing me to like get max RPM out of that, you know. There are thumb detents here, again a hex bolster, really not that bad for $5.99, especially if they were clean. But I'm telling you, in person, these look terrible. Like, these look like I bought them at the flea market type of a deal. You know, somebody like had them and used them and didn't use them long. The tips, again, I mean, the business end is fine, but if this was a $25 screwdriver from Snap-on or a tool truck or some exotic brand online, I would be upset if they came in looking like this. If they're $6, that does not change my rationale. I paid for a new screwdriver. I got something that, since as soon as I take this off, it looks like it's been used. It looks like I've been lying to you and I've used this myself. That's not the case. It came this way, and it's just kind of one of those deals. So right there, again, same part number, SD24, and then SDP, I'm sorry, 24, and then we've got GR for green, we've got the Phillips indicator, we've got the size, we've got the hex bolster, got Carlyle in black, you've got a hanging hole, you've got filthy, greasy nastiness that's not from me, and then again, down here, you've got the same part number, SDP, again, you can assume Phillips number 2, 4-inch shaft, GR for green, OR for orange, number 2 by number 4. If they were clean, I don't know that I'd have a whole lot of negative. Obviously, you know, I don't think it's going to be my dream driver right off the bat. But again, at the price point, this could be something if you have to like color code a work area. If you're, you know, your favorite color is orange or green. These are actually pretty decent color palettes, I have to say. So sometimes you get like the really pale orange. This is a pretty solid orange in my opinion. Same with the green. It's nice and sublime. So they've got a lot going for them there. It's just a shame they were delivered looking like they've been used and should have sold to me for, you know, a fifth of the price. Something along those lines. So something that will fare a little bit better, but only because it's wrapped up, because this thing was absolutely nasty. I mean, it looks like, again, it was like unearthed from the desert, is part number WSCCP. Let me see if I can find it on my notes over here for you. I can. No? Yeah, I have it right here. This was also on sale, $4.50 off, $4.50 off. Brought the sale price to $25.49. For some reason, I thought when I bought these, they were $14.99, and that's sort of, not gonna lie, I don't think I would have paid $25 for these. They could be good, I don't know. Well, this is what we have. This is kind of an interesting little deal here. It is, I'll tell you, these batteries. It's wire stripping, crimping, and cutting pliers. You can see they're Carlyle branded. You got some nice, looks like what would be decent blue textured grips. Obviously up here we can pull, we can crimp, we can cut, and here we can strip. So sort of an all-in-one. Honestly, what I had in mind with these, with the new US Generals, I knew one of them there's a chance I'm going to heavily have it stocked with wiring type of stuff, right? LEDs, headlights, gauge clusters, relays, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, would it be smart to have something there? And I thought, yes. And I thought they're blue handled, so I'll know where they go. And then I paid $10 more than I thought I was paying. So let's read about them, learn a little bit about them. Wire stripping, crimping, and cutting. All-purpose pliers cut, strip, crimp, and grip. Kind of read that out of order. Serrated gripping nose for pulling, bending, and shaping wire. So think of that for like your more household use, I guess. Stripping holes are precision ground to remove insulation. 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20 would be nice if we went a little bit smaller on that. Therefore, you could do like more LED and, you know, tiny stuff. We've got a crimper and wire cutter positioned in front to reach in tight areas. You got a second cutter on the inner handle. It will grip insulated and bare wire connectors and cushion grip for comfort and control. So let's go ahead and bust these suckers out of here if we can. I do like this packaging. I appreciate that it's simple to articulate and get into, and not much of a problem in my life. Now I can already tell you I've got some complaints. This is a subtly textured grip, but it's slippery, and there is not much comfort to it. Like, this is either a very hard, slippery grip, or it's a very thin grip that's slippery. This is fairly stiff, and it sounds bad opening, but as with most pliers, we'll just simply break them in. I'm going to pull this up so I can take a look at it. Looks like we've got 3 teeth. We've got bare and insulated there. The 20, 18, 16, 14, and 12 are in descending order. And that's about it. It looks like this is going to be like a little Torx fastener that is not seated very deep. I don't know about long term on this. If you can see right here, you got a Torx head, right? So it's not a rivet, it's nothing fancy. It's just basically something that'll probably loosen out. I'm guessing that is pressed in, but then if you note, the fastener only goes about halfway through the nut or the pressed in collar. And the reason that could be an issue is over time, it's just going to go away. But we'll see. I mean, you basically have to use these to really know how you're going to like them. But in terms of in hand, I'm not super impressed thus far. Tiny jaws there to grip and pull and shape. And then you can see, if you can't read that, that is going to say bare. This is insole for insulated, and then right there you got 12 to 20. So again, theoretically cramping down, that would be our crimp. Right here we can cut, here we can cut, there we can strip. Carlyle and Napa logo, Napa being almost too small to even be legible. But again, I think you can kind of see what I'm talking about. There's just not much material. Like, you see the profile of the handle, they're kind of widening out pretty good there. Same thing on the flip side, but there's just not much material here on the grip, and subsequently, in a bare hand, it is not comfortable. And over here, it's also noticeably thinner than what I'm kind of accustomed to use. So, like I said though, we'll have to ultimately use them. Unless these turn out to be like God's gift of, multi-use electrical pliers, I feel like they're a bit overpriced. I think they would be better suited at like $15, $14.99, somewhere in that range, and then you can get them on sale routinely for under $10. That's just me. So, like I said, not knocking them too much. We have to use them to know if I'm actually going to like them. Just right off the bat, those are some notable. I mean, I just want to highlight this. These are little cheap NWS deals. And even though this is not textured, I actually have more of a positive grip on them, and it's a little bit thicker than that is. So it's just one of those things. I guess in an effort to save costs, they don't do much coating. It's obviously like a single dip in my opinion, and the end result is something that stands out to me as being a little bit cumbersome there. So to do or not to do, I think we will go ahead and make a standalone with that next item. The other issue though, I do not for the life of me. I think I've recorded this already, but I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I did. It was right here. These are some adjustable pliers racks. This is something I picked up from Harbor Freight. I loved them. They were in red, and I bought this. This is where I say that's a nice shade of orange. This is not. Okay, this I like, even though it's dirty. It looks good. It's dark, true orange. This is like a pale, sickly orange, in my opinion. Some of you will hate this and love that. Some of you will agree with me. Some of you will find both of them to be absolutely hideous, and others of you will think they both look pretty good. But ultimately, I ordered these in. I thought this was a darker orange. I also did not know that they were from GearWrench. And if you're thinking like, hey, where's the GearWrench logo on this one? I flipped them. I don't have any GearWrench. This would actually be my first GearWrench product ever. And the price, if you're thinking like, why did you get them? Well, they were $8 off. They typically want $25 for these, which is absurd. Never pay that. $17.49 wasn't that bad, considering I thought I was getting orange. I thought this would be like a Carlyle orange. I didn't realize it was GearWrench from Apex. So again, a little more information on the website. I guess if I took a little more time and like typed in, I might have been able to figure it out. But I don't really like the labels being there. And so what I did is I popped the cap off, slide it around, spray detailer. I used pumpkin spice because it's orange. It has to be pumpkin spice or it's not going to flow as good. And I just set it up the way I wanted it to. So I am pretty sure that was in a video, but I don't know if I'm imagining that or not. And I kind of want to get rid of the box. So that's sort of why I'm showcasing it here. I'm not going to show it populated. You'll see that. You've seen it before with the red one I did. But case in point, like I was kind of in shock when this is what delivered to me. So there you see the packaging, adjustable plier direct. It is a lifetime warranty. I don't really have anything against GearWrench. I've just never had any of their stuff. I know they seem to have like a pretty solid and loyal following online. It's just something I've never had. And again, it was not advertised on Napa's website as GearWrench. If it was, I probably would have known it would have been this type of a nasty orange that I don't like that well. And again, it's not terrible. It's just like I prefer a darker, truer orange. And again, that's personal preference and all subjective. The cool thing is, I think, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure you could swap these around if you wanted to with the red ones from Harbor Freight. But yeah, there's really not much to see here in terms of having it populated. There you go. Once again, fat-handled pliers like NWS stuff, anything that's odd, obviously you can use it for other items if you want to, but the fact that it's adjustable gives it a lot of versatility. So if you're a GearWrench fan, be on the lookout at Napa. They sell these. You can sometimes get it on sale. If you're not a GearWrench fan, but you love the color or hate the brand or something, you can flip them like I do. But yeah, that is that. So I think that's it. I think that is pretty much everything from that end of the year Napa tool haul, minus one item that we're going to showcase. Spoiler alert, it is from Mechanics Time Savers, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So not now, but as soon as this video is done. So with that said, this guy right here I'm kind of excited about. We'll see how we like it. Let's time out and I'm going to see what that is. Are you proud or disappointed when you look at something and know what size it is? Like, it's one thing at work where you kind of have like a general idea of everything you use, right? But then just like in the real world, when you stare down at that, you're like, 13 millimeter? And, well, you be the judge. So right here we got our little capris, which hopefully those videos are out. There is the play in it. Obviously, 14 is too big, 12 would be too small. And then if you're thinking like, okay, well, is it ½ inch? I almost want to say the ½ inch has less play, but I don't control the tolerances of where this is made or anything, so it's sort of hard to say. But yeah, half or 13, you're probably going to be okay. So sad we can't really do anything conclusive there, but they'll both work. These are 6-point as well, so that's kind of the story there. But yeah, wanted to make sure I did check that before I forgot. Somehow we remembered. But yeah, we brought in 2 screwdrivers which look terrible. I'll see if I can clean them up. I'll try to do that right after this video, and then when we introduce the next item, I'll go ahead and say, hey, look, we cleaned them, or these are still dirty, type of a thing. So you'll definitely want to check back for that. Past that, yeah, we brought in 2 colored screwdrivers. Not a bad first impression, minus the color, like they're dirty and filthy. We grabbed some multi-purpose wire stripper cutter crimpers. Those look very similar to some other ones. I'm thinking that's probably, again, same OEM rebranding stuff. This will probably be the most useful thing that we brought in, and again, 20 bucks off. I love the fact, I was worried that this was going to be gimmicky. It feels like, I think over time it would wear out, but like here initially, I'm pretty happy with that. Like, I think that's going to last quite a while. Again, a puller here, something I'm not going to use all the time, but it'll certainly be nice. So yeah, that was that. That was my little kind of the remnants on our Carlyle haul here from Napa. So that's about all we got. Again, we have one more Mechanic Time Saver product. I want to get that showcased. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all 3 at Lone Star Mopars. Hope you're having yourself a fantastic weekend. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know, have you used these Carlyle pullers? If so, how are they holding up? How do you like them? Do you recognize them? Or you're like, hey, that's exactly what I have from Matco. Those are great. Those are junk. If you think, hey, that looks just like what I have from insert X company, feel free to leave a comment. Also, let me know, again, bench impressions versus real world use. I just have to use them, to form an opinion on them, really. Initial thoughts, that's my take on them. But if you know what they are, you know who the OEM is, you know who all else rebrands them, leave that. If you've used the Carlyle screwdrivers, which I assume quite a few of you probably would, again, they've got some other colors. They also, like their standard one is like a blue and yellow So if that's your scheme, like blue and yellow would be kind of hard to find. So, look them up. You can find them. They're fairly reasonable for the set. I might buy your most used driver first, see if you like them in hand, see how the tip wears. Go back in a week or two next time you're in the store and be like, hey, get me the set. Better yet, wait for a sale on the set and go from there. But yeah, almost wish I would have bought the set of orange, just because I feel like then being in a case, they would have been clean. But I'm not sure. Maybe they would have come out just as dirty. So that's not like the sand and debris from freight transit. That's just legit grease and greasy fingerprints. It looks like you just stole these from someone type of a deal. But anyway, I will quit rambling. I hope you have yourself a fantastic weekend. I'm going to get to the next item, and I will catch you back here for more action from the shop.